In this video, I'm going to show a pivot table in action in Excel. Also, please subscribe if these easy how-to videos help you, and let's get into it. So I've downloaded some sample data from the internet, and when I scroll down, you can see how I have hundreds and hundreds of rows of data, and this is going to be difficult to analyze manually. But with pivot tables, it becomes really easy. So to create my pivot table, I can select any cell in the table, and then go up top to Insert, and then click Pivot Table. It's going to give me a pop-up that's asking me whether I want my pivot table on a new worksheet or an existing worksheet. If you want your table on the same worksheet as you are now, then you can select existing, but I want mine on a new one. So I'm going to select a new, and I'll hit OK. And now I have the pivot chart fields on the right that are going to allow me to pick and choose what I want to see and how I want to see it. The first thing I want to look at is the sales categorized by color. So I'm going to drag sales over to my values, and I'm going to drag color over to my rows. And you can see how the pivot table groups all the sales based on color, and then it gives me a grand total at the very bottom. Now these sales numbers are pretty big, and they're still a little bit difficult to analyze manually. And I want to see how each one of these colors contributed to the grand total in terms of percentages. So I'm going to grab sales again, and I'm going to drop it into my values underneath the one that I already have. And then on that second one, I'm going to click the drop down and select Value Field Settings. And then I'll click Show Value As, and I'm going to go with percentage of grand total, and I'll hit OK. And now you can see how each color contributed to that total value in terms of percentages. These values in column B are actually dollars, so I'm going to select just any one of these cells here and right click, and I'll click Number Format, and I'm going to select Currency and hit OK. Now, what if I wanted to see the same information, but I wanted to pick which region I was looking at? I can drop the region into the filters. So I'll do that now. And now I can select which region I want to look at. So I'm going to select East, for example, and I'll hit OK. And now all my sales values and percentages are going to adjust because it's now only showing us East. Similarly, I can go back up to my filter and select North instead and hit OK. And those dollars and percentages will adjust again to now only show the North. So now I'm going to get rid of the sales to column by just dragging it off of the values. And then what if I wanted to see the amount of units sold for each color? To do that, I can drag units underneath the color. And now it shows us how in the North region, for the color blue, 1 unit was sold for $61, 2 units were sold for $100, and every other unit quantity and its appropriate sales amount, and how it all adds up to that $2.3 thousand sales amount for blue. So that's an easy way to look at units, and it's an easy way to stack rows on top of each other, just like so. And I'm going to go ahead and remove units from my rows. Now, if for any reason you don't want to see the sum of the sales and you'd rather see the average, you can go over to the values and then hit that drop down on sales and click Value Field Settings and change your selection to average and hit OK. And now what it's doing is it's analyzing every sale for the color blue that took place, and it's giving you the average number. So there may have been a bunch of sales below $60 and a bunch of sales above $60, but here it gives you the averages so you can see, on average, which color performs better than the other. If you decide that you don't want the region acting as a filter and you'd rather see it as a column, then you can drag it over from the filters to the column. And you can see how now the average sales for every color and for every region is now displayed for you. I'm going to go back into Value Field Settings for sales, and I'm going to change it to sum again, just so it's a little bit more accurate representation of our data. And now in column F, you can see how blue had a total sales of $7.4 thousand and how each region contributed to that. Similarly, you can look at grand total for East only, and you can see how 3.7 thousand came from a little bit of silver, red, green, and blue, and how much of each. You can do a whole lot more with pivot tables, so if you'd like a more detailed tutorial, drop me a comment and just let me know. But I'm hoping this simple walkthrough of a pivot table helped you in feeling more familiar with how it works. As always, drop me a sub if this helped you, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.